Okay, so good evening to all the students. I hope I am properly audible as well as visible.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Akash. Okay, so my voice is clear, absolutely.
Sir.
Okay, good.
Sir.
So first of all, so whenever you are going to ask or maybe raise any doubt, just raise your hand. Yes, all of you are open and open to speak. So I have not unmuted anyone. Now, so we are now entering the most important class and the most important phase for the examination. And we know the examination, yes, may be pushed back by 21 days, but still very close. Now, so what I expect is that you must have almost revised the basic portions or the core portions. You must have revised, or you are revising them fast, or you are revising them multiple times. But usually the weakest link are the current affairs. The weakest link are the current affairs. And many of the students are not very serious when they handle the current affairs. Okay, so what happens, what I've seen students, they may be buying various current affairs magazines, but they are not reading them, or many of them are half read or unread. So finally, at the verge of the examination, they make a plan to cover as many magazines as possible, and which never work out. And finally, you start blaming that magazine did not of worth, and finally you shift to other magazines. So rather than what, many times the magazines are too bulky also. They contain too many facts, unnecessary facts. So we require the filtration of most important current affairs. The current affairs which are very relevant, and even in the current affairs, which are the key areas to focus on, which can be asked by UPSC. So we know this is an examination where few extra, yes, correct options or correct questions will definitely be helping you in clearing the examination. So let us add on those extra correct answers that you can give to the examination when you appear on 16th of June. Yeah. So clear? So let's talk about the current affairs in a different manner. So first of all, let me lay out the plan for the class, yes, so that each and everyone is on the same page. I hope you know me well, yes. So just introducing myself again if somebody is new here. So my name is Ritesh Kumar Singh, an ex-civil servant. And for 10 years, I was the head of the quality management in Rouse IS study circle, including the mains answer writing and the essay classes. And for last 1 year, I've been driving this platform, Shield IS, and the major purpose is to connect with the students who are still struggling after completing the foundation courses. Okay, so this is a new venture and this is a new initiative, that is current affairs classes. So in this current affairs classes, let me give you a brief overview first, how we are going to proceed. So on this note, let me share something. Okay, now, so as I've already explained in some of my videos that current affairs will be comprising around 35 to 40 questions or 40 MCQs. Now 40 MCQs, how we are going to plan for the class. Now 35 to 40 questions, we are going to start with certain polity related themes. Polity related themes. Now which are the polity related themes which are regular in news now? For example, we are now approaching general elections. So hence there are certain important terms and jargons which become important with respect to elections. Now there are certain things which are also released by Election Commission in the form of information. When the schedule of the dates or the dates schedules were announced, so there was a huge write-up released by the Election Commission. And in that there are various information which are very general in nature for the public, and the public includes UPSC aspirants. So hence there can be certain questions which can be asked by UPSC on the basis of your general awareness about elections in India. So here, so political themes, we are going to start with what? Election related issues, general elections. Then what are the other things which are regularly news? Are usually the arrest by the ED or the CBI or the income tax. Okay, so we will talking about what is the things which are jargons linked with arrest. What is the role of the police? What is the role of the agencies like ED, the CBI, okay, even the NIA? And then we will talk about certain what again? Judiciary related or legal jargons. Legal jargons. And similarly, there are other things which are also in news. That means different type of bails. Different type of bails. Now, for example, UPSC asks things on the basis of general issues. For example, 2 years back, there was a question on what is the difference between a police custody and judicial custody. Now, similarly, when we talk about the basic awareness, when these things are regularly coming in news and newspapers, so you should be knowing about the basics of all these. Because again, UPSC examination is of checking your basic awareness about the issues happening around you. So we will not be delving deep into the polity, that is the core polity. Yes? So we will not be touching the core polity, but we'll be touching those areas which are linked with polity, but are actually not in the books, not in the books. Clear? Now, after this, we will be moving towards other themes. After polity, we'll move towards the international or the international issues. Next focus area will be international issues, the current international issues of last 15 months. After that, international issues, we are taking certain issues linked with security. Then further, another important area is the environment. So environment will be another major area where we'll be covering all the relevant things in detail. Further, now comes importance of schemes. So again, so there are n number of schemes released by various ministries, difficult to remember, but we'll be doing the schemes in a very, very innovative manner. Okay? So in a manner which will be helping you in easily memorizing them. So schemes. Now, there will be certain, then this will be followed by the current affairs linked with science and tech, mostly technology part, hence the current affairs part. And then followed by, we'll ending up with what? Economy part. Economy part. Now, in that, in between all of these, there will be certain other issues which will be coming in picture, which are coming in miscellaneous. And the miscellaneous can be certain historical excavations, certain cultural things in news, so that we are going to demarcate the historical period which they belong to, and which are becoming important from the perspective of the examination. So miscellaneous means cultural issues. Now, another thing which is very, very important, in which each and every year 2 and 3 questions are being asked, are the important locations in news. So when we talk about locations, comes the next locations. But how we are going to cover the locations? For example, if there are 100 locations in news, they cannot be taught in a one class lecture. So what we'll be doing on each and every day, after discussing the major themes, we'll be ending the class with 4 or 5 locations per day, so that you are able to revise and recall, yes, and remember, yes, very fast. So this will be the general flow of the class. I hope this is very okay with all of you, general flow of the class. Now, so as we are supposed to start, let us start with elections. The elections we all require in this country, the elections we love in this country, okay? It's almost like a festival. And yes, various issues linked with elections, various questions which are being raised, everything should be followed on the basis of certain things released by Election Commission. So let's start with that. Okay, so let's start with certain things. Now, when we talk about elections, so who are supposed to vote? Yes, so actually all the adults in the country, are supposed to vote to create political equality. Now, the term which is supposed to create political equality is universal adult suffrage. Now, universal adult suffrage talks about political equality. That means all the adults in the country are supposed to vote. Yes, they should be given the right to vote. Now, when we talk about vote, so who are supposed to vote? Each and everyone who is 18 years and above, but there are certain people who cannot vote. So I will be highlighting on the issues which are very important now. So first of all, Article 326 become important. So Article 326 of the Constitution grants universal adult suffrage. Now, according to which every adult citizen is entitled to cast his or her vote. But who cannot cast the vote? The person who is convicted of certain criminal offense or deemed unsound of mind. Even this question was asked by UPSC in the PYQ. So that means, are all the people eligible to vote? Now, if the UPSC puts a statement that the people in prison, are not allowed to vote, are not eligible to vote, the statement would have been incorrect. Because in the prison, there can be under trials who are just accused, okay, not yet convicted. So here the term is saying convicted means who are sentenced by the court, yes, given punishment by the court. So hence we should be focusing on the words. So accused, so all the accused are allowed to vote, but only the convicted people in criminal offenses are not allowed to vote. So here, so when or the person deems unsound of mind. Now, when this concept of universal adult suffrage emerged, it emerged, yes, from the inputs of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1928, when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar appeared before the Simon Commission, insisted on incorporating universal adult franchise in the Constitution of India. That means this thought, first of all, emerged from the inputs of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1928 in front of Simon Commission. Now, so there can be a statement, yes, there can be a statement again put by UPSC who stated that, yes. So here, this statement where Ambedkar stated that universal adult franchise is a weapon in the hands of the most oppressed sections of society. Most oppressed sections of the society. So this is an important statement coming from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Now, this was also now carried forward in the Karachi session of 1931 of Indian National Congress. So the Indian National Congress called for political equality at the 1931 Karachi session. Political equality. Now, for example, generally when we see in a society where the people have got classist attitude, when they think that they're superior, so they tell to the people, "Teri औकात क्या है?" Yes. And then the reply will be, "Meri औकात और तेरी औकात एक ही है," because both of us have got only one vote each. One vote each. So that is a term called political equality. So all the people are equal, yes, in terms of what they say in the elections, because all of us have only one vote. So now, so that means what we are seeing is Article 326 on who cannot vote, convicted or the people of unsound mind, emerged in 1928, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Simon Commission, and finally political equality was focused in Karachi session of 1931. Now, let us move forward. Now, these people who are going to vote, now what type of election system we follow? We follow a system that's called first past the post system. So now, let's talk about the first past the post system. Now, what is the first past the post system? Is very simple. Yes? So anyone who crosses the post first. For example, when you talk about a post, it can be a lamp post. This is a playground. There are various players or the candidates. Whoever crosses the post first becomes first past the post. So that means anybody who is getting the most votes in the constituency, most never means majority. Yes, most never means majority. So most votes out of total votes polled will be the winner. So first of all, FPTP talks about that there should be constituencies. Now, each constituency represented by one candidate, or sorry, one representative. Yes. Now, whoever receives more votes than all other candidates is proclaimed elected. Now, victorious candidate does not need to get majority of votes cast. Does not get. See, first of all, this is very difficult to get in India, majority votes, because we are a multi-party system. There can be many candidates. That's why this is called plurality system also, because there can be number of candidates who are in free. Plurality system. Hence, it's really difficult to get more than 50% votes. So hence, there's a very less chance of getting what? Majority votes in a country. Let me give you a different perspective also. For example, if the current government says that we received 38% of the votes, okay, so 38% vote is still not the majority votes. Now, and these 38% votes out of the total votes polled or cast, not on the basis of eligible voters. So if you talk about 2019 general elections, the percentage of voting was 67%. percentage of voting was 67%. Now, if this 67% was taken as a base of 100, that is the votes polled, base of 100, then the ruling party of today got 38 votes out of 100 votes. That is 38%. Now, if this would have been calculated on the basis of the entire 100 eligible voters, which include those 33% who did not vote, this means this 38% now calculated on the basis of the entire eligible voters, which also include 33% of the people who did not vote, means this percentage should be coming down to 25% just. So a government winning just 25% of votes, which include votes polled and the people who did not vote, still rules the country. Yes. So this is the little drawback. Yes, because government never said that they represent the majority. So a first past the post system. But now this is the simplest thing that we are opted for. And see, political equality, why it was required? One more angle you can give. But you may be knowing that India was the foremost country who just after the independence from the first general elections gave voting power to all. Yes. Okay, it did not discriminate on the basis of caste or the gender, all these type of things. But you may be knowing various countries in the world, even United States and UK, who gave voting rights to women quite late. And there was one more angle. When you talk about Indian national movement, when you utilize the power of the women, utilize the power of the tribals, or the Dalits or the farmers for putting a national movement, how can we leave them behind after independence by not giving them the power of vote? So hence, and the concept was political equality was required because we utilize the power of everyone. Now, election commission, now comes the role of election commission to ultimately conduct the elections now. So the election commission is the permanent and independent body established by the constitution, we all know. Now, Article 324 of the constitution ultimately gives the entire power of managing, supervising the election to the election commission. So 324, the article becomes important. Further, now when we talk about election commission, so election commission conducts elections for, so these type of things are being asked. So election commission, the central election commission conducts the election for the parliament, conducts election for the state legislatures, the office of the president and the office of the vice president. This means the local self-government elections or the panchayat and municipality elections are not conducted by the central election commission, not conducted by. So now who conducts the local elections? The state election commission. So now it's clearly written here that it must be noted that election commission, that is the central, is not concerned with elections to panchayats and municipalities in the states. For this, the Constitution of India provides for a separate state election commission. Okay, so these type of things, these type of minor things are being asked by UPSC. So never think that UPSC is going to ask very difficult things, but they are going to ask very logical things. Now, further, composition. Let's talk about the composition of the Central Election Commission. Now, since the coming of the Election Commission in 1950, with the coming of the Constitution, till 15th October 1989, that is almost for 39 years, it was a one-member body, functioned as a single-member body, one-member body. So it functioned as a single-member body. Now, what happened now in 1989 onwards? So on 16th October 1989, the president appointed 2 more election commissioners. Now, what was the reason? The reason was the government of the day decided to bring down the age of voting from 21 to 18 years. 21 to 18 years. So that means the number of voters increased. Now, to manage this increase in voters, because we are a young country, that means when we reduce the age by 3 years, that means it opened up more and more people as voters. So it requires extra management, to hence 2 more election commissioners were added in 1989. The reason was the voting age was reduced from 21 to 18. Now, however, the 2 posts of election commissioners were again abolished in January 1990, and again it reverted as a one-member body. So again, it became a one-member body. Now we are seeing again a 3-member body. Now, the final step was taken in 1993 to create a permanent body having 3 members. So now, let's see again. So, hence in 1993, the president appointed 2 more election commissioners. Since then until today, the election commission has been functioning as a multi-member body. That means from 1993 onwards, it has become a 3-member body. 1993. Now, let's talk about what is the difference between the chief election commissioner and the other two election commissioners? Now, in terms of what the responsibility, the power, they're almost the same. The chief election commissioner and the other 2 election commissioners have equal powers and receive equal salary, equal allowances, and other benefits, which are similar. Okay, so that means there's no discrimination in terms of payment or the allowances and the benefits. Now, in case of difference of opinions, so that means majority decision rules. That means if 3 members are going to discuss anything, if 2 members agree, yes, that means the majority is 2 in the context of 3. Finally, the majority decision overrules. So here, in case of difference of opinions, is the majority. Now, they hold the office for the term of 6 years, or they attain the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Now, election commissioners can also be removed. But the chief election commissioner cannot be removed directly by the government, can be removed through the parliamentary process, similar to the removal of a Supreme Court judge. But the other 2 election commissioners can be removed on the recommendation of the chief election commissioner. So, chief election commissioner. So now, again, I repeat, the CEC can only be removed in the methods similar to the removal of a Supreme Court judge. Other 2 election commissioners can be removed on the recommendation of the chief election commissioner. Now, a term which has now come into picture is the method of removal of the chief election commissioner is similar to the Supreme Court judge. Let us see how Supreme Court judge is being removed. So that is a part of this process. So removal of the Supreme Court judge. This is applied for CEC also, chief election commissioner. So removal of judge comes to the picture, yes, in the Article 124(4) of the Constitution, and also formalized through Judges Inquiry Act 1968, yes, as a procedure for the removal of the judges. So again, sometimes these acts are also being given the statements of the UPSC questions. So focus on these acts also, Judges Inquiry Act 1968. I hope the screen is visible to all now. Yes, because 2-3 people have written that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
हेलो सर मैंने 2-3 बार ट्राई कर लिया, मुझे तब भी विजिबल नहीं हो रही है.
अरे Shafali, you are not able to see me?
No sir.
Why? So log in again. So just do one thing, log in again.
Okay.
Okay, try it. Okay, so so removal of Supreme Court judge. So Judges Inquiry Act comes into picture. So let's talk about. So how? So when I talk about, so that means the motion of the impeachment for removal of Supreme Court judge can be moved in either of the houses. So in case of the Lok Sabha, how many members should be agreeing for that? At least 100. So 100 in case of Lok Sabha and or 50 in case of Rajya Sabha. And finally, that has to be delivered to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Now, if it is accepted by the Speaker and the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, finally the Speaker or the Chairman, whoever comes to the picture, depending upon the request for removal. Now, the final Speaker or Chairman will be constituting an inquiry committee. Now, hence a 3-member inquiry committee will be constituted, comprising of a Supreme Court judge, Chief Justice of a High Court, and a distinguished jurist. Now, the committee will now be scrutinizing the case, framing the charges, and submitting the report again to the Speaker or the Chairman. Now, when the inquiry report is talking about yes there's a ground for impeachment, then that is put for voting, yes, for motion. So now the motion to be adopted requires majority of the total membership of both the houses. Okay. Now, finally, when we talk about a removal process, the voting should be a majority of at least 2/3 of the members of the house present in voting. The condition is the motion to be adopted by the majority of the members of the houses. And when you talk about a removal process, for that, the 2/3 of the majority of the people present and voting, members present and voting. And then finally, it is going for the president, who will issue an order for the removal of the judge. So the same method is being used for Chief Election Commissioner. Clear? So let's move now. Now, so that means universal adult suffrage comes into picture. So we are talking about the election commission. We are talking about political equality. We are now going to talk about the delimitation. First past the post system, we already talked about delimitation. So again, this is a term which is regularly in use, delimitation. Now, delimitation news. So let's talk about delimitation, the key areas to focus on. So it is an act of redrawing the boundaries of Lok Sabha and the assembly constituencies. That means redrawing, which can also redraw the borders also without increasing the number of Lok Sabha seats or the assembly seats, can redraw the border also, or can increase the number of seats that both Lok Sabha and assembly seats can increase. The objective is to provide equal representation for equal population segments. That means one representative upon a certain section of population, which should be similar throughout the country. Similar throughout the country. That's why this may be requiring what? Every decade an assessment is required. Now, one more thing, the delimitation commission's orders cannot be questioned. Yes, important, cannot be questioned before any court. So the delimitation orders, commission's orders cannot be questioned before any court. So these are the statements which you should be focusing on. That's why I've highlighted them in yellow. And these type of things are put as statement by UPSC. Now, how often the delimitation has been done? First of all, the provision is there in the Article 82 of the Constitution. The Parliament enacts a delimitation act after census. So after census, that is held every 10 years. So there is logically there should be an assessment every 10 years when the census comes. Okay, population, what data is clearly what visible. Yes, so there should be a delimitation act can be passed by the Parliament. On the basis of delimitation act being passed, a delimitation commission comes into picture now. Now the union government then constitutes a delimitation commission headed by a retired Supreme Court judge, not serving but retired Supreme Court judge. So again, the UPSC will be using, okay, serving Supreme Court judge. So again, you'll be thinking, Supreme Court judge to tha. So you will be putting that answer or the option. So hence your option will be wrong. So retired Supreme Court judge. Now the commission examines now the population data, existing constituency, number of seats to be analyzed, and finally submits a report. Finally submits. So it does an assessment. Now, further, whenever the report is being generated, the draft report is now published in the official gazette of the Government of India. So gazette is actually the official newspaper of Government of India. Yes, gazette is official newspaper where it mentions about the appointments, the postings, the transfers, okay, or bringing out what various changes in the way of running the country. That is officially declared in the form of gazette. So gazette is the official newspaper. So similarly, there are the gazettes of the state governments also. So published in the Gazette of India and the official gazettes of the states concerned, which are going to be impacted by the changes either in the boundary of the constituencies or the increase in the constituencies. And at least 2 vernacular publications. That means at least 2 newspapers, local language newspapers, seeking feedback from the general public. So very clear, what is the process? So first of all, after every census, there should be a delimitation, act. That delimitation act should be creating a delimitation commission. Commission report cannot be questioned in any court of law. Okay, commission findings are printed as a draft report in the official gazettes. Now how this exercise started? So when there was no census, after the first census after independence, 1951-52, then elections started. But before that, we have to conduct the general elections, which started from 1951, carried to 1952. So how that was done? Delimitation. The first such exercise in 1950-51 was carried out by the president, not by the delimitation commission. The first time the assessment on the form of delimitation was carried out by the president with the help of the Election Commission, the first time. Again, this is an important statement to note. Now, following the Delimitation Commission Act in 1952, all such exercises have been conducted by the Delimitation Commissions. Okay. The further, then 1952, 63, 73, and the last was 2002. Last was 2002. Now, there was no delimitation after 1981 or 1971, 1991 census. So still, the period that we still follow is 1971 census. 1971 census. Now, we all know that when we talk about the population control in the country, the southern states did well in reducing the population. The Bimaru states, yes, there was a term that was very popular with respect to Bimaru, means Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, the Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, these are the northern Indian states where the population was increasing. So if the delimitation would have been done on the basis of what, again, creating new constituencies, more new constituencies would have been created only in northern India. This was a led in reducing the power of the southern Indian states. Hence, that required an amendment to freeze the positions. Hence, amid these concerns, the constitution was amended in 1976 to suspend the delimitation till 2001. Till 2001. Now, further, there was another amendment which extended the freeze till 2026. That means two amendments came. First, the freeze was till 2021. Then another amendment, 25 more years, that is till 2026. Now, so the last delimitation. Okay, last delimitation exercise was conducted between 2002 and 2008. So do not get confused. Yes. The freezing of the Lok Sabha and Assembly constituencies has been done with respect to 1971 census. So, but the delimitation exercise happened also in 2002 onwards. But not for increasing the number of Lok Sabha seats, not for increasing the assembly seats, but for readjusting the boundaries only. And also working out the number of reserve seats. So what was the purpose of the delimitation? We started from 2002, adjustment of the boundaries and also working on the number of reserve seats required. Clear? Not for increasing the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha or the assembly seats, not for increasing the seats. Now, another thing that comes into picture with respect to elections are the two acts, Representation of People Act 1950 and Representative People Act 1951. Now, 1950 Act is mostly linked with, yes, the voters and delimitation. 1950 Act is eligible voters and delimitation. 1951 Act is the entire process of conducting the election. The major differences. So 1950 is qualification of voters. That means concerned with voters who can be in the electoral list. Okay. Delimitation of constituencies and allocation of seats in the parliament and state legislature. Okay. That means the voters and the number of seats. But when we talk about the entire process of the elections, that is through 1951 RPA. So actual conduct of elections, the administrative machinery which is required, qualification and disqualification of MPs and MLAs, election offences and disputes, and also registration of political parties. Registration of political parties. Very clear till now? Okay, so so what we are going to do is in each and every class on daily basis, at least we are going to target two possible questions per day. Because our target is to touch what 40 MCQs which can be influenced or directly coming from current affairs. Now further, now let's talk about electoral laws. Now I have taken certain things from the release of the election dates by the Election Commission on its website. Now there's a detailed material available. I have picked out those things which are relevant for the examination. Now let's talk about certain things like electoral rolls. So what is the meaning of electoral rolls? Electoral rolls means, first of all, so if you are having a voter ID card, but voter ID card is not the guarantee that you will be allowed to vote until unless you have got a name in the electoral rolls of a particular polling area. Clear? So electoral rolls means you should be recognized as an eligible voter in the electoral list. Now, here, so hence the amendment in the section 14 of the RPA 1950. by the Election Laws Amendment Act 2021, the people can apply their name to be included in the voting list 4 times in a year. So how many times? 4 times. So there are a provision for 4 qualifying dates to enroll as voter in a year. So that means the current system is that this window is open 4 times in a year to get your name registered in the electoral list 4 times. Very clear? Now, let's talk about the next thing. Now, for the forthcoming election, for this year, general elections, that window was last opened in 1st January 2024 as the qualifying date. So those people who are registered as voters in the electoral list as of date 1st January 2024 will be voting in the election, forthcoming election. That means how many times it is being allowed? 4, yes. Now, so electoral rolls. Now, what is required next is the voters should also be knowing that their name should be there in the electoral list. So hence, what is now being issued? Voter information slips are being issued. Now, what is a voter information slip? The person should be knowing whether his or her name is there, which the polling station he or she is supposed to go, the polling date. Okay, so that means the serial number of the electoral roll in the polling station, date of poll and time. This is called voter information slip. Will be issued. Now, this voter information slip will include information of the polling date, polling station, date and time with QR code. But it does not contain the photograph of the voter. So it is not having the photograph of the voter. It's only having the information for the voter, only information for the voter. And what is the time limit for this distribution? The voter information slip will be distributed at least 5 days before the date of poll. At least 5 days to all the enrolled electors. Now, one more statement to be very important for you to be you should be focusing on. But the voter information slip will not be allowed as a proof of the identity of the voter. It is not being used. That you cannot just go with the voter information slip and say that my name is in the electoral roll, I can vote. No, that is not the that's not the identification of your eligibility for voting. Okay, but that is going to help you in making you eligible voter, provided you now bring various identity proofs. Yeah, so voter information slips. Now let's see the next thing. Now, what are the identification things which are required to be produced so that you are able to vote? Now, so first of all, we know one is EPIC, yes, electoral photo identity card. Now, if the EPIC is not there, other things are also allowed. So first of all, the voter shall present his EPIC or any of the following identification documents. Now, what can be that? Yes, Aadhaar card. Or when I talk about the other things which are issued by the government, like Manrega job card. Again, UPSC can give which of the following can be used as a voter identification tool. Yes, or which of the following things cannot be used as the voter identification things you should be knowing. So Manrega. Now the passbooks. So passbooks with the photographs issued by bank and post office. That means the saving bank accounts or the saving post office accounts, the passbooks with the photograph. Now their health insurance smart card issued by schemes under Ministry of Labor. For example, you know, ESI scheme, Employee State Insurance Scheme. So ESI scheme is for workers, and there may be various other schemes also. That means the duly recognized scheme of Ministry of Labor, which are issuing the smart cards. Now, your DL, driving license, PAN card, yes. Now, the smart card issued by RGI. Now, what is RGI? RGI is, note down, is Registrar General of India. RGI is Registrar General of India, and NPR is, you must be knowing, National Population Register. NPR is National Population Register. So,
Sir, could you please repeat it?
Okay, so RGI is Registrar General of India, who is responsible for conducting the census. Okay, and finally, National Population Register, which includes a name as one of the residents of the country. Now, next is Indian passport. Okay, thank you, thank you. So Indian passport, then pension document with photograph. Now service identity cards, and these are for the employees of the government. So where the central government, the state government, the PSUs, and the public limited companies. That means in which the government is the owner, in which government is the owner. So here are the identity cards. Then the official identity cards issued to MPs, MLAs, and MLCs. MPs, MLAs, and MLCs. So Aadhaar card, Manrega. Okay, so now this is information. Many people would not be knowing that Manrega card can also be shown. Yes, Manrega card can also be shown. So saving bank accounts, health insurance, driving license, PAN card, smart cards, pension documents, service identity cards, and official identity cards issued by MPs, MLAs, and MLCs. Now comes unique disability ID, UDID. Now UDID for the differently abled people. So issued by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So UDID card. So these are the eligible identity proofs once the people go for voting, but they should verify whether their name is there in the electoral list or not. So what we have got is electoral list, yes, then voter information slip. We are talking about what the ID cards which are required. Now, for promoting information, yes, awareness among the voters, there comes a thing called sweep. So sweep is systematic voters education and electoral participation. That means it's a way of creating awareness among the eligible voters that they should be coming out and vote. Yes, what is the process of voting? How they can help in what making their areas better by coming in large numbers in voting and electing a person who deserves to be elected. That means the general information, spreading awareness that voting is important. Now, the sweep is designed according to the, this is important, socio-economic, cultural, and demographic profile of the state. Socio-cultural. Now, many times what happened, the society. So there is a thing, many people may be reluctant to go and vote, so hence we need to encourage them. Economic means there can be various workers who may not be allowed by their employees or the contractors to go and vote. Okay, that means they can be suppressed because they will thinking they will be going for the voting, they will not be coming for work. Yes, so that means they will thinking that this is going to hamper their work. No, so these are the things which should be cutting across socio-economic what foundations. Cultural factors where certain segment of people not allowed to vote. For example, there can be socio-cultural factors like a particular Dalit caste, or maybe the people coming from a backward community or extremely backward community may not be allowed by the dominant caste to vote. Okay, so all these things should be removed. Yes? And even the history of electoral participation, if the history is that very less people are voting, there should be a method of encouraging them. Now, what is the vision? To enlighten, enable, and empower every citizen to register as a voter, cast his or her vote, and every election in an informed and ethical manner. The purpose is the voter should be informed. Now, what is the objective? Now, this is the objective which can be put as a statement by UPSC. What is the sweep objective for 2022 to 2025? Now, we are approaching 2024 general elections. Now, the objective is increase the voter turnout to 75% in the Lok Sabha elections 2024. 75%. So last time it was 67%. Now that means it is expecting that 3/4 of the voters should at least be voting. 3/4 of the eligible voters. Now, let us talk about one more interesting thing is number of polling stations. The number of polling stations as well as what? The number of voters per polling stations. Okay. Now, so maximum number of electors in a polling station. There shall be a maximum of 1,500 electors in a polling station. That means this is the maximum limit. This is the maximum limit. So that means there should not be more than 1,500 voters per polling station. That means more and more polling stations should be created. So what is the number of polling stations which are required now to cover more than 90 crore plus voters? The 90 crore plus voters. So overall, there's a 1% increase in the number of polling stations in states and UTs as compared to previous general elections. Now, as per the Election Commission's information, they are going to create more than 10 or 10.5 lakhs polling stations. 10.5 lakhs polling stations. Very clear? Now, the eligible voters, if you want to know, see, these factual things are not being asked. So here, the only thing is there's a limit on the maximum number of electors per polling station, and that limit is 1,500. Now, if you still want to know what is the number of eligible voters for this general elections, eligible voters are 96.8 crores, if you want to know. 96.8 crores, almost 100 crores, which are going to be distributed across all these 10 lakh plus polling stations. Now, there's one more thing that comes into picture which UPSC can ask: who are the absentee voters? Who are the absentee voters? So the definition of absentee voters. The absentee voters, now there are certain facilities which are created for the PWD voter. That means the people with disabilities or differently abled who cannot go, yes, who cannot go to the polling station. So they can be treated as absentee voters. For them, there is a system of postal ballot. Okay. Similarly, the people who are 85 plus senior citizens, again, for them, it may be difficult to go to the polling station. And there are various electors who are employed in essential services. They are posted somewhere else in the under government service. So they may be in the army, they may be paramilitary, they may be in the police, essential duties. They may not be getting the leave to go and vote. Okay, or they get essential services can be a railway driver for Indian Railways, may not be getting the leave to go and vote. Okay, so essential services. And other maybe due to infections or disease. For example, this concept came in when the COVID was there, or the COVID, yes, where it's safe for the people to send a postal ballot. Now, so hence the rule 27A of the conduct of election rules 1961. This has been amended to provide the option of postal voting or the postal ballot facility to absentee voters. Absentee voters. Now you may be knowing when the polling day comes, or when the counting day comes. So what happens? First of all, the postal ballots are being counted. After that, the EVM votes are being counted. First, the postal ballots. So these postal ballots are of what? Absentee voters. Very clear. So sometimes you may be hearing news that postal ballots are now being counted. Now the EVMs are opened. Okay, so postal ballots. So postal ballots are for what? Absentee voters. So now absentee voter includes person who is employed in essential services. That is AVES is a short term for that. So AVES is absentee voter essential services, AVES. Senior citizens above 85. That means absentee voter senior citizen. PWD. Now, an absentee voter wishing to vote by postal ballot has to make an application to the returning officer of the constituency concerned. Now, we will also be talking about important officers and supervisors for the elections in detail a little later. Okay, who are the district election officers, who are the returning officers, who are the presiding officers. We will be also discussing those in little more detail a little later. So first of all, who are absentee voters? Absentee voter does not mean who are absent. Yes, absentee voters is a facility for those people who cannot go and vote. Now, further, next. Now, polling station, whether they are a model polling station, with the concept of model polling station, yes. Okay, the model polling station is that in each constituency, there should be at least one polling station which should be managed by women, and one polling station which should be run by a person belonging to differently abled category. So there should be a model polling station also. Hence, to promote inclusion and social justice, there's a concept that at least one polling station, each managed exclusively by women, and PWD shall be set up in every constituency. So for example, you must have heard about women police station, where the entire staff is comprising of women employees only. Similarly, this polling station headed by a woman will be having all the workers there or assistants there, women only. Okay, so these are model polling stations. So again, there's a concept of social justice and inclusion here. Now further, then comes the nomination process. That means the people who are going to file their nominations and fight elections. The nomination process, now it has moved online also. We'll talk about various apps which can be asked by UPSC, the new apps into picture, the IT tools. But here, first of all, nomination process, which is both physical as well as online. Now, nomination form will be available online on the website of Chief Electoral Officer and District Electoral Officers. We'll talk about CEO and DOs a little later. So they can fill the form, submit, take a printout. Okay, so they can ultimately fill the form online, submit, take a printout, and also do physical signature also, put a photograph and submit to the returning officer. Then affidavit, the further, so nomination should be followed by affidavit. Again, it can be filed online, taken a printout, submitted. And further three things. Third thing is security deposit. So while filling the nomination forms, three things are become important. Filling the form, then affidavit, filing the affidavit. That is your personal guarantee under oath. And third is deposits of security money. So security money is 25K, 25,000 for the general category, or around 12K for the SCs and ST candidates. For the SC and ST candidates. General category and OBCs, yes, it's the same. 25K. Okay, so nomination process. Now you may have heard a term called affidavit, which is commonly being used. So affidavit is you are ultimately putting under oath the information that you are releasing for scrutiny. Affidavit. So affidavit can be questioned in the court of law also if you are putting the wrong information. So simply, what is affidavit? Just for your minor information. So, okay, affidavit is a written statement made under oath that is typically used in legal proceedings. So affidavits are the vital part of the court proceedings since they provide a written account of the details submitted by anyone. So on the basis of that affidavit, the judges are supposed to scrutinize the person or the agency, anything. Okay. Now next comes into picture model code of conduct now. Now, when does the model code of conduct comes into picture? It comes into picture, it starts from the day the dates of the elections are being announced, model code of conduct. That means we know 16th of March, the release of dates was there by the Election Commission, 16 March. So that means the model code of conduct started from the 16th March. So the model code of conduct comes into effect immediately from the announcement of schedule. Immediately from the announcement of schedule. So all the provisions of the model code will apply to all the states, to the UTs, to all the candidates, to the political parties, the government or the said states. And now the provision of model code of conduct shall also be applicable to the union government also, shall also be applicable, where there is a maximum violation. Yes. So model code of conduct. So that means model code of conduct covers everyone. From top to bottom, starts from the date of the release of dates of the election. Now, another thing that was regularly in news, fighting for the party symbols. Okay, so that means now the Shiv Sena was fighting ye mera symbol hai, tera symbol hai, NCP was fighting ye tera symbol, mera symbol. So let's talk about a symbol. So now symbols, when you talk about symbols, so let's talk about. So this is allocated in accordance to Symbol Order 1968. Issued by the Commission under Article 324 of the Constitution of India. This is enough for knowing. So Symbol Order 1968. Again, this can be put in the statement. Symbol order. So symbols are accordingly accorded.
So can the decision of election commission based on this symbol be challenged in the Supreme Court?
So see, yes, it can be challenged. It can be challenged provided the Supreme Court is going to accept that challenge first. Okay. So for example, even when we talk about the Shiv Sena, Uddhav filed that in the court of law. Okay, when that Shiv Sena official symbol was given to the Shinde camp, so it was challenged by the Shiv Sena, Uddhav, in the court, the Supreme Court. But Supreme Court stated, as it's already decided by the Election Commission, let it be. Clear?
Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Now, so now the ceiling of election expenses for candidates. Now the purpose is not to show the expenses, but the purpose is to show that the expenditure per candidate is not the same, across all the states. Okay, so now, so as per the revised ceiling, which was coming from 2002 onwards, the maximum literal election expense for the parliamentary constituencies 95 lakhs per candidate for all candidates, except Arunachal Pradesh, which can be lesser, Goa, which can be lesser, Sikkim, which can be lesser. The purpose is to show it is not same across all the states. Similarly, for the union territories, the maximum limit is for NCT of Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir, and the other UTs are lesser. Other UTs are lesser. So that means again showing even the UTs is not the same. So UPSC will not be asking how much expenditure. UPSC putting a statement, expenditure is same for all the states. So the statement would have been wrong. Now, let's talk about the terms or the officers which are required for conducting the elections as supervisors as well as observers. Supervisors and observers now. So let's talk about, first of all, Chief Electoral Officer. Now, when we talk about Chief Electoral Officer, is the officer who is the head of managing the election at the state and UT level. Okay, the person who is managing the election at the state and UT level. That means the topmost officer. So the Chief Electoral Officer, the Election Commission of India nominates or designates an officer of the government of the state or the union territory as the Chief Electoral Officer. So that means from the state itself, it will be picking out an officer, serving officer, who can be elevated to the level of Chief Electoral Officer in consultation with the state government and union territory administration. Now, the Chief Electoral Officer of the state and union territory is authorized to supervise the election work in the entire state of the UT. That means it's the topmost person for the supervision and the conduct of the elections in the state of the UT, Chief Electoral Officer. Now, under the Chief Electoral Officer comes the District Electoral Officer for all the districts. Yes, respective districts, there will be DEO, District Election Officer. Now, the EC nominates again the officer of the state government as the District Election Officer, again in consultation with the state government. The District Election Officer is authorized to coordinate and supervise all work in the district or in the area within his jurisdiction in connection with the conduct of elections of the parliament and legislature. So, within a district, whatever the constituencies, he is going to or she is going to supervise. Now, hence, with the previous approval of Election Commission, the District Election Officer is supposed to provide adequate number of polling stations, sufficient number of polling stations, and also publish a list showing the locations of these polling stations and the facilities there. So the DEO is in charge of what? Smoothly conducting the elections in the entire district, which may be comprising of various assembly constituencies, which may be comprising overlapping with even the MP constituencies. Now here. Now, most important is the returning officer now, who is majorly in charge for overseeing the voting and finally declaration results. Returning officer. The Election Commission of India nominates or designates an officer of the government, that is the state government or the local authority for each of the assembly and parliamentary constituencies, assembly as well as parliamentary constituencies. So why the person is termed as returning officer? A returning officer is called so because he holds the elections and returns the result. That means declares the result. So returns the result. That's why the person is termed as returning officer. Now the same person can be appointed as a returning officer for more than one constituency also. That means that does not mean that one returning officer per constituency. There can be that one returning officer can be managing 2 assembly constituencies also. In addition, the Election Commission of India may appoint one or more assistant AROs also, assistant returning officer, for assisting the returning officers. And yes, again, this person should be a government employee only. Every such person must be an officer of the government or of the local authority. That means no private person can be given such a responsibility. It's only the government officer. So the CEO manages the entire elections in the state or the UT, DEO at the district level. Then comes the returning officer who is in charge of the constituencies for conducting the actual polling and returning the results. Now, next comes into picture presiding officer. Now, the presiding officer will be in charge of each and every polling station. Now, when we see the list, again, when you see so CEO is at the state level or the UT level. DEO is at the district level. When you talk RO, returning officer, that is constituency level. Clear? When we talk about a presiding officer, so where is presiding officer? Each polling station. So within the constituencies, there can be various polling stations. So presiding officer is the manager of the polling station. Returning officer is the manager of the constituency. DEO is the manager of the district. And CEO is the manager of the entire state. Very clear? Presiding officer. Now, within the polling station, presiding officer is the manager, but within the polling station, there will be one more officer, that is the polling officer, who is actually allowing the person to vote. When we talk about the EVMs, yes, we know that there is a ballot unit, there is a control unit. Okay, so the control unit will be managed by the polling officer, who will be giving the chance to the person to vote. Okay, so now within the polling station, the manager is the presiding officer, but the person who is helping the voter to vote is the polling officer. The polling officer will keep a record of the votes cast, because he or she will be in charge of managing the ballot units and the control unit. Very clear? Polling officer. Now, whenever these people who are the government employees, all the officers, when they are working for the election commission, that means now till the election is over, they are actually the officers only of the election commission. They cannot do any other state government or the central government related duties. They cannot do. So note, the returning officer, AROs, presiding officers, polling officers, and any other officer appointed and any police officer designated for the time being by the state government for the conduct of any election shall be deemed to be on the deputation of the election commission. And they will be under complete control, supervision, and discipline of election commission. Now, there is one more thing, which are the polling agents. Now, polling agents are not officers. Polling agents are the agents of the political parties. So remember, polling agents are sent by the political parties to keep a check on the entire process. Okay, so hence the polling agents, official with proper badges and IDs, polling agents are being sent by various political parties, accepted by the officers. Okay, as they are going to just watch and keep a check on the polling process. So polling agents can be sent to each polling station by the candidates. This polling agent must be given an ID card, but only the ID card, the name of the person, okay, okay, so that the person is recognized. But that ID card should not be having any party name or the party symbol. So that within the polling station, the voters cannot recognize which political party they belong to. Okay, so that means the polling agents. All the names are very clear. Now, above these comes the supervisors, so observers now. So all the people we have discussed till now are conducting the elections, but now we require external observers to keep a check on all those functionaries. And these are termed as central observers. Now, there are different types of observers which are drawn from different parts of the country, and they have been given the task to ultimately keep a check on the entire process externally and report to the election commission. So first of all comes the general observers. So general observers are usually the IAS officers. So IAS officers. For example, if when you talk about the state elections, if the election is going to be conducted in Madhya Pradesh, so the observers as IAS officers will be called from different states. Okay. So similarly, when you talk about general elections, when the elections are happening throughout the country, so observers in a particular state for the general elections will not be the IAS officer of that state, but from different states. So here, so the commission will deploy IAS officers as general observers in adequate number to ensure smooth conduct of the election in consultation with the CEOs of the state. And the purpose is to keep a close watch on every stage of the electoral process. So first of all, IAS officers as general observers. Then come police observers. Now comes the IPS officer to maintain law and order. Okay, and to ultimately decide on the allocation of security arrangements. Now comes the police observers. The commission would deploy IPS officers as police observers in consultation with CEOs of the poll-going states. And they will monitor all activities related to force deployment, how much force is required to be deployed, to which polling station, to which area, law and order situation, and coordinate between civil and police administration. So, general police observers. Then comes counting observers. Now, the counting is done, yes, counting is done by the under the supervision of presiding officers, the polling officers, but still there's a requirement of what? External check. Hence comes the counting observers. The commission will deploy additional officers as counting observers at district level. PCs parliamentary constituency, PCs parliamentary constituency, AC is assembly constituency. So parliamentary constituency and AC is assembly constituency. Now, depending upon the requirement in consultation with CEO of the poll-going states. So counting observers to keep a check on the presiding officers and the polling officers responsible. Clear? Now, further. Now comes the special observers. Now, special observers can be additional officers of all India services which can be brought and given special duties if required. If required, they are not necessary, but they can be brought additionally if required. In exercise of the plenary powers, means complete power, yes, which are confirmed by the Article 324 of the Constitution, the Commission can also deploy special observers who belong to all India services. Similarly, if the Election Commission can also put expenditure observers, expenditure check done by the candidates, okay, and their polling agents. So there can be various observers. So general observers, police observers, I hope very clear. All these observers, special observers, expenditure observers, these are observers. Now let's talk about the EVM. Now we know EVM is always in news. There's a huge protest against the EVMs, and there's a campaigns run by the Election Commission to promote EVMs. So now they're both sides. Yes, one is questioning the efficacy of the and the transparency of the EVMs, and on the other side, Election Commission is going with the certainty that EVMs are what? Transparent. Yes, we have to go through the official statements first, because here UPSC will be asking the official statements. Now, so what does the EVM as a process comprises of? Now, the EVM consists of two units. One is the control unit and one is the ballot unit or the balloting unit. Now, control unit is in the hand of the polling officer or presiding officer or the polling officer. Okay, and the balloting unit where the people are going to press the button, that is called balloting unit. So now, so the control unit is placed with the presiding officer or the polling officer, and the balloting unit is placed inside the voting compartment. Voting compartment. Now, so what does the polling officer do with the control unit? Yes. Now, after pressing the control unit, it releases a ballot, the e-ballot, which now is shown at in the balloting unit. Yes. The person who is handling the control unit, by pressing the control unit, releases the e-ballot, which is now shown in the balloting unit, and then the voter will be pressing it. Clear? So the polling officer in charge of the control unit will release a ballot by pressing the ballot button on the control unit. Now, further, this will enable the voter to cast his vote by pressing the blue button on the balloting unit against the candidate and the symbol of his choice. Now, a little history, just one liner. This is from the Election Commission website. So EVMs were first used in the Parur Assembly constituency of Kerala in 1982. The first used in the Kerala Parur Assembly constituency in 1982. Now further, and the information important, an EVM being used by ECI can record a maximum of 2000 votes. So one EVM can contain 2000 votes, maximum 2000 votes. Now later what was added? VVPAT was also added. Now When was the first time? So VVPAT with EVMs were used for the first time in a by-election where? In Nagaland, Noksen Assembly constituency in Nagaland. So VVPAT was used along with EVM for the first time in Nagaland, Noksen. So again, an information important. Now, and how the election now how the EVMs are being distributed across the constituencies. So there is a system of randomization for which what our e-management system is being used. Now, before distributing, a randomization is being done. Now, their randomization is being done twice. So EVMs are randomized twice using the EVM management system while being allocated to a assembly and constituency. So first randomization is done at a district level. That means now in front of the various polling agents, the party members, okay, randomization is being done. That means a process has been generated where nobody is knowing where that particular EVM is going in which constituency. Okay, so first randomization of EVM and VVPAT is conducted by district election officer to allocate the units at various assembly levels and segments. So that means randomization, that means there cannot be there cannot be a set plan. There cannot be a set plan which unit is going to which assembly. So hence randomization is required. Now once it is reaching the assembly level, so what is required? Now feeding of the names of the candidates are being done. Very clear? Now when, for example, when it reaches one assembly constituency, after the first randomization, the EVMs are distributed at assembly level. Now at the assembly level, second randomization is going to be done. After feeding the name of the candidates, now that EVM, after being fed with the names of the candidates, are now being distributed in a very random manner to various polling stations within the constituency. Very clear? So two randomizations. One at the assembly level, second after putting the names of the candidates within the distributing to the various polling stations within the assembly constituency. Now further, hence the list of randomized EVMs, VVPATs are also shared with the recognized political parties. Once it is being spread, then it is open and that's been distributed to political parties, but not before distribution, Now, next comes commissioning of EVMs and VVPATs. Now, what is the meaning of commissioning? After second randomization, now the names are arranged alphabetically and the party symbols are being put in front. That's called, now the EVM is ready for being a ballot unit now. So commissioning means the name of the candidates are being now arranged alphabetically and the name of the party symbols are being put. It's called commissioning of EVMs. So after finalization of list of the contesting candidates and a second randomization, entire process of commissioning is candidate setting. And this setting is done alphabetically. And the VVPAT is done in the presence of the contesting candidates and their representatives. Now, that means now the EVM is ready for being used as a balloting unit. Now further, but on the day of polling, a mock poll is also conducted to see whether the EVMs are working properly or not. Mock poll. And this mock poll is done 90 minutes before the start of the actual polling. Okay, so mock poll. So mock poll for each EVM, 50 votes are being cast in front of all the polling agents of various political parties. Okay, and these votes are cast in front of all the candidates in the list, including nota vote also. And finally, they are being tallied with the VVPAT slips also. Okay, and finally, they are being given a tag mock poll slip. Mock poll slip. So that means a process. Okay, so now further, you must be knowing how that there's a demand for that we should be matching all the VVPAT slips with the EVMs. Okay, so the demand that all the VVPAT slips should be checked with the EVMs. But at this moment, what is the decision of the Supreme Court till now? In 2019, how many VVPAT machines or slips to be tallied with EVMs? So here at this moment, five per assembly constituency. That means any 5 polling stations VVPAT counts should be matched with the EVM votes, any 5 randoms. So what is the demand is that there should be what matching of all the VVPAT machines with what the EVM votes. Now, when we know all this process looks fine, yes, okay. So where is the issue now? Yes, all the process look fine. See, this is the official statement. This is the official statement, and there's a thing behind the curtains, but we are not going to talk about that behind the curtains. But this is the process, and the questions will be emerging from the process itself. Now, yes, there are certain what applications which the UPSC can ask. Now, the IT applications being used in election management. Now, first of all, there is a C-Vigil app. C-Vigil app. Now, C-Vigil is for the citizens to keep a vigil on any form of what electoral malpractices and reporting. Okay, so C-Vigil is for filing any model code of conduct violation cases by citizens, so they can file. So C-Vigil provides time-stamped evidentiary proof of the model code of conduct expenditure violation by empowering every citizen to click a photo or video and send by using the app. Okay, that means citizens can put a vigil if there is any what violation of the model code of conduct. Now, next is Suvidha portal. Now, this Suvidha portal is for whom? The candidates. Now, Suvidha portal has been launched to online filing of nomination papers, online filing of the affidavits. Okay, so this Suvidha portal is for the candidates. So C-Vigil is for citizens. Now, Suvidha portal is for candidates. Now, next, there's an Encore portal. Now, Encore portal is basically going to connect all the election officers for discussions and a transfer of information. So, Encore portal is an end-to-end application for all election officers that have responsibility for each official to perform various activities in multiple modules. That means it's a way of communication between all the people who are involved in the election exercise. Okay, so this is Encore portal. Encore portal. That's why we are picking up the things which can be randomly asked by UPSC, and then the students think ki question kahan se aaya. Okay, so questions are coming from general awareness only. Okay, so we will not be leaving anything untouched which can be of relevance for the examination. Now, further, then there is what? Electronically transmitted postal ballot management system. Now, this is for whom? This is for the officials who cannot vote. Yes, who cannot vote because they are on duty. So what is being done through this system? An e-vote is generated for them. So that e-vote is what downloaded by them. They can put their stamp, and finally through speed post, they can send their vote wherever it is required to be sent. Okay, so this is electronically transmitted postal ballot management system for service voter. The system is used to generate and transmit postal ballot through electronic means to the service voters. For example, police officials or the army officials. The system has also been integrated with Department Post so that a service voter can send the ballot after casting vote through speed post without paying any charges. Without paying any charges. Very clear? Postal ballot. Especially for the service voter. Now, so C-Vigil, okay, Suvidha, Encore, and ETP-BMS for the service voter. Next comes Saksham app. So Saksham app is for the PWD voters. So they can request for a help which they may be requiring for ultimately helping them in casting their vote. So Saksham app is meant for the person with disabilities. The PWD elector can make request for marking them as PWD. And request, for example, request for migration, request for correction in the details, and request for a wheelchair at the polling station. That means whatever the support maybe a PWD person is required is through Saksham app. Now next comes BLO app. Now BLO is, note down, booth level officer. BLO is booth level officer, which are linked with polling stations. Now, what is their role? They're supposed to verify the voter list. They're supposed to verify the voter list in a physical form by door-to-door visits. Okay, so इसको पहले क्या कहते थे? It was initially known as Garuda app. So it's a dedicated mobile app for BLOs to perform their task digitally. I have heard many new things are coming. Okay. Okay, see, when these questions are asked very randomly by UPSC, if a student don't take kahan se aaya. So where they, okay, Garuda app kya hai? No, nobody knows. But here now it's directly linked to the booth level officer whose work is to verify the voter list to house surveys. And feeding the information, that is the mobile number changes or the address changes or the name correction, sab ye karega. Next comes National Grievance Service Portal. The National Grievance Service Portal, again, the application provides a single interface for handling complaints by the election officials. Now, C-Vigil is the complaint by the citizens. But now there are various election officials who are involved in conducting elections. They can also raise a complaint through this app now. National Grievance Service Portal. This is for the election officials to complain. Election officials to complain. And finally comes the most important app, that is Election Seizure Management System. Seizure means kitna cash pakda gaya, kitna daru pakdi gayi. So all those information generated by various officials in order to ensure inducement-free elections. So ESMS mobile app is being used to digitize data for cash, liquor, drugs, and all those freebies which are being confiscated by the officials. So now these are various apps. I hope you can remember various apps now. Now there cannot be elections without political parties. Okay, so there has to be political parties. So hence comes the importance of registration of political parties. Now let's go to registration of political parties. So registration of political parties is governed by the provisions of section 29 of the RPA. Registration of political parties. Now majorly we talk about two types of political parties, the national parties and the state parties. National parties and state parties. So now, so suppose if you are going to launch a political party or we together are going to launch a political party, agar aisa karte hain, that means we should be getting our party's registration done within 30 days. So a party seeking registration under the section 29A has to submit an application to the commission within 30 days following the date of its formation. Okay, so you have registered a political party. Yes, you started political party, but official registration within the, as per the requirement of the law, has to be done within 30 days. Now, we know national political parties. So what are the guidelines for national political parties? Again, this is a small thing, but very important thing which can be asked by UPSC, national party. So national party. So a national party means should be securing at least 6% of the valid votes polled in 4 or more states. 6%, at least 6% of the valid vote polls in 4 ya 4 se zyada, 4 or more states. Now, in addition, it wins at least 4 seats in the House of People from any state or states. In addition, it should be winning at least 4 MP seats or the Lok Sabha seats, either from one state or more than one state. Okay. So in 4 or more states, at least 6% of the vote share, and it should be winning at least 4 Lok Sabha seats. Either it should be coming from one state itself or can be more than one state. Okay. Or yes, or it wins at least 2% seats in the House of People. 2% seats means 11 seats in the existing house out of 543. 2%, yani ki 11 MP. And that can be coming from either the UT or the any other state. Yes. Okay. So if any political party are able to produce directly 11, that means it can be recognized as a national party. 2%. Clear? So vote share, at least 4 Lok Sabha MPs in one state or more states, or if it wins 11 seats out of 543 from any of the constituency emerging from any part of the country. 11. Now, Now the state party, again, it secures at least 6% of valid vote polls in the particular state where it belongs, particular state. Now, in addition, it should be winning at least 2 seats in the legislative assembly, at least 2 seats, means 2 MLA seats. So 6% of the valid votes polls in a particular state and winning 2 seats. Or it wins 3% of the total number of seats in the legislative party, legislative assembly of any state. So minimum 6% of the valid votes polled plus at least 2 seats in the legislative assembly. This is the combined condition. Now, besides the combined condition can be another condition, which is winning at least 3% of the total number of seats in the legislative assembly of the state. Now, what are the benefits that come while being recognized as a national party as well as the state party? What are the benefits? Let's talk about the benefits. Now, there are various benefits. If the party is recognized as a state party, so it is provided exclusive what symbol to the candidates set up by it in the state. So that means party will get the symbol. So even the candidates of that party will also be using that symbol. And if the party is recognized as a national party, it can use the symbol throughout the country. That means there will be unique symbol for all the registered state parties as well as national party, which the candidates can also use for their campaigns, for fighting the elections. Further, recognized state and national parties need only one proposer for filing the nomination. Only one proposer. Suppose if you are belonging to a recognized party, you are going to file the nomination, only one proposer is required. Okay, and are also entitled for 2 sets of electoral rolls free of cost at a time of revision rolls. So 2 photocopy milengi electoral rolls ki to that candidate, and their candidates get now they also get what broadcast and telecast facilities over Akashvani, Doordarshan, that is state owned media. So that means all the political parties have got a free access. Candidates have got a free access to all India radio or the local radio of the state governments, even the Doordarshan channels of the state governments, all the state media, they will have a free access. Now, further, such political parties can also bring what? Star campaigners. Now, political parties are entitled to nominate star campaigners during general elections. A recognized national or state party can have 40 star campaigners. A recognized national state party, they can bring 40 star campaigners. And an unrecognized national party, which may not be coming in the category of state and what a national party, can bring a maximum of 20 star campaigners. That means more influence this party can bring by bringing more star campaigners. And further, another thing is, those star campaigners' expenses will not be counted as election expenditure, will not be. The travel expenses of the star campaigners, travel expenses, are not to be counted for the election expense accounts of the candidates of their party. That means this is again a concession. So what are concessions that we are saying? First of all, a proper symbol. Symbol can be used by party as well as the candidates. Now all these, one proposer for filing the nomination. That means electoral list provided free of cost. That means state controlled media, so or state managed media, so they can have got access. Star campaigners, cost of travel will not be counted within the expenditure. Okay. Now as of now, as per the latest release of Election Commission, when the election dates were announced on 16 March, the Election Commission states there are 6 recognized national parties and 58 recognized state political parties. This is for the latest release. Okay. So 6 and 8. Okay. So these numbers the UPSC will not be asking. UPSC will be asking, yes, the condition for a national party and the condition for a state party. So very clear till now? Okay. So all this information becomes important. Now let's change the track. Yes. So after discussing so many things about elections, let's discuss some important locations today. Okay. So again, so as we are going to do the same thing on daily basis, certain bigger issues, conceptual issues, which are part of current affairs, then ending with locations. Okay, so for locations, I will be sharing a PDF in which the maps look more clear. So let me share a different thing. Okay. Okay, I hope this is visible. Now, so UPSC has got a fascination for asking the locations linked with conflicts. Now, UPSC asked what conflict in Myanmar, the Kachin rebels belong to Myanmar. UPSC asked the Tigray region in Ethiopia. UPSC asked about Iraq conflict area. UPSC asked last year Ukraine. That means all the conflict areas are the important locations which the UPSC can ask. Okay, and it is asking on regular basis. Similarly, let's talk about what Middle East or West Asia now. So we know what Israel, Gaza. So let us start with the important locations in the Middle East. Okay. So let's start with what West Bank and Gaza. So West Bank and Gaza. So we know a term called Palestine. So Palestine. So I will not be talking about world history here, but I will be talking about just one thing. There was an Ottoman Empire when it declined after the First World War. Now there was a British mandate, French mandate, Balfour Declaration, which was dealing with the issue of Palestine. Okay, that is the part of the world history. I will be giving you sources to read. The further, when the Israel was created in 1948, what happened? The Palestine land was now taken more by the Israel and the Palestinian area shrunk. And hence emerged Israel. And when we talk about Palestine, two major locations, West Bank and Gaza Strip. Okay, West Bank, Gaza Strip. So let's see the map. Let's see the important map. Now, this is the map. I hope this is clear. Map is very clear. Now, when we see there are various locations, yes, various locations. So this is West Bank and this is the Gaza Strip. Now, Gaza Strip is under shelling by Israel. Gaza Strip. Very clear? Now, what happened? When the area of Israel increased from 1948 onwards, the area of the Palestine shrank. It is now confined to West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But still there are what Israeli settlements, both in the West Bank and also in the certain parts of Gaza Strip. Now, this was not liked by the Palestinians. And finally, there was an agreement between the Palestinian Liberation Organization and Israel in 1993 to stop such settlements. But finally, what happened? Even the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, gave rise to differences and hence emerged two different organizations. One is, you must be knowing about Hamas. Hamas is new, so Hamas controls Gaza Strip. And second is Fatah. Fatah is a moderate which believes in elections. So Fatah dominates West Bank. Fatah dominates West Bank now. So that is a history thing or that is the current thing. Let us talk about the location here. So in location, what we are seeing, so West Bank, now the Gaza Strip, now the Jordan River, which is the border between the Jordan and the West Bank, the Jordan River. Okay, Rafah is in news. Okay, the crossing of the border crossing between the Gaza Strip and Sinai Desert or the Sinai Peninsula of Egypt. Okay, so we'll be doing, so this is Sea of Galilee. But before talking about this only the map, yes, let us talk about certain content also. So let's talk about certain content here. Now let's talk about Gaza Strip. Yes, as I was talking about a little history, you should be knowing. Gaza Strip is a territory in the Middle East. It's the Middle East. Now, Middle East is a term usually used by Westerners. Now, we use usually West Asia. Yes, we talk about West Asia. Middle East and West Asia can be used about synonymously. Yes, okay, the Middle East. Now, it is located on the Mediterranean Sea between Israel and Egypt. Okay, so Israel and Egypt, let's see again. So when you talk about the Gaza Strip, so it is on the border of the Mediterranean Sea and it is bordering Israel, and as it is opening to Egypt also through Rafah border, it is entering Egypt. So the bordering, yes, so Gaza Strip borders Israel, Gaza Strip borders Egypt, and finally Gaza Strip borders the Mediterranean Sea. So two land borders and one sea border, Mediterranean Sea. Clear? Now further. Now, in a 6-day war of 1967, that is Arab-Israeli War of 1967, Israel took control of Gaza Strip. 1967. Now, people from Israel soon began to establish settlements in the region, both in West Bank as well as Gaza Strip, which was not liked by the Palestinians. So Palestinians became angry because Israel has already shrunk their area of Palestine. Now, even the remaining area, Israel was creating settlements. Hence came an organization called Palestine Liberation Organization. And finally, in 1993, Israel and PLO signed an agreement. Okay, so they also got the at the time the Nobel Peace Prize. It was facilitated by United States, and the person was Shimon Peres from Israel and Yasser Arafat from PLO. That you read in the world history part. Okay. But now here PLO. But finally, what happened? There was a dispute within this Palestinian Authority. Sorry. Okay. The dispute within this Palestinian Authority. And finally, in 2007, there was emergence of two separate factions. From the Palestinian Authority emerged Hamas, which began to control the Gaza Strip, and Fatah, which began to control the West Bank. Two separate sections. That's why what we are seeing, the fight is at this moment confined to Gaza Strip, not West Bank. Okay, now Hamas is controlling the Gaza Strip. Now further, now Israel responded with its own attacks in Gaza. The conflict has been going on since then. Now let's see now the Gaza Strip in detail with respect to Rafah crossing. Yes, so Rafah crossing has been in news with the huge migration of the Gaza Strip people to Egypt, that is the Sinai Peninsula. So this is a crossing. Now there are three crossing here. One crossing, two crossing, and three crossing, that is this Erez crossing. Now when you talk about these three crossings, okay, when you talk about these three crossings, so the two crossings which are just a minute. The two crossings which are the Erez crossing and the Kerem crossing, these are controlled by Israel, and the Rafah crossing is controlled by Egypt. Now, where this Rafah crossing? So Rafah border crossing in southern Gaza has gained global attention as Palestinians are attempting to leave Gaza due to Israeli attack. So hence, the Rafah crossing is the southernmost exit point. The southernmost exit point from the Gaza Strip, and it shares border with Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. So from here, it is entering Egypt. That means this border crossing is controlled by Egypt. So Rafah crossing, remember, Rafah crossing, the border is controlled by Egypt. Rest of the crossing, Kerem and Erez are controlled by Israel. Very clear till now? Now, so it is the only exit that does not lead to the Israeli territory. So that means Rafah crossing is the only exit which is not entering into Israel but entering into Egypt. Now there are two other border crossings in and out of Israel, Gaza. One is Erez, that is in the northern Gaza. We have just seen in the map. Again, if you want to see Erez in the northern Gaza, which is again entering into Israel. And when we talk about the next, is the Kerem Shalom in the south, which is exclusively, this is also important, exclusively for commercial goods only, for the movement of goods only, not for the movement of the people. Not for the movement of the people. That means the Erez crossing can be used by the people to enter Israel. But the Kerem is only for the transfer of the goods, not for the people. So both Erez and Kerem, controlled by Israel, are currently closed. Yes, due to war, they are currently closed. So three crossing very clear: Rafah, Erez, and Kerem. Erez and Kerem under control of Israel, and Rafah under control of Egypt. Now further. Now let's talk about the Sinai Peninsula now. So that means for the Rafah crossing is helping the Gazan people to enter Egypt. So what is Sinai Peninsula? So Sinai Peninsula is this part, yes. When you see the Red Sea, this is the triangular area, that is the Sinai Peninsula. So the Sinai Peninsula is a triangle-shaped peninsula in Egypt. It's located in the northeastern part of the country. The peninsula is bordered by Mediterranean Sea again. So Mediterranean Sea. This is Red Sea. And Gulf of Aqaba to the east. So which is Gulf of Aqaba? This part. Yes, this part is the Gulf of Aqaba. Gulf of Aqaba. So Gulf of Aqaba, which is again a part of the Red Sea, which is touching Israel, Jordan, and Sinai Peninsula, and also leading to the Mediterranean Sea. This is also leading to, so Red Sea part leading to the Mediterranean Sea, so Sinai Peninsula. So again, very simple. Rafah crossing links Gaza to Sinai Peninsula, which is a part of Egypt. Erez and Balaam ultimately links that to Israel. Okay, Kerem. Now, so bordered by Mediterranean, Red Sea to the south, and Gulf of Aqaba. The peninsula includes the Suez Canal, which is the man-made waterway that connects the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Now, further. Now, sorry, I missed that. Yes, there's one more area which have to be, now we are talking about various camps, which are the concentration camps. So let's talk about the Jenin camp, refugee camp. It was established, this is a part of the West Bank. Now, this is also in news. Certain camps where there's a news that there's a huge shortage of food and leading to starvation. So again, it was established in 1953, one of the concentration camps, refugee camps. And now this emerged after the 1948 Arab-Israel war, where the Palestinian refugees are living. So it is one of the refugee camps in West Bank, which was in use. So one was in use, that is Jenin, and second is Tulkarm camp. Second is Tulkarm. Both of them are in West Bank. So again, the UPSC locations can be, so which of the following camps lie in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank? So there can be confusion. So when you're talking about the camps, the Jenin and Tulkarm camps, which are in use, which are in the West Bank. Now, so again, so Tulkarm camp established in 1950 is located in the Tulkarm city, northwest of the West Bank. One of the most densely populated refugee camps in the West. It is situated on the 1949, the truce line that delineates the West Bank from the Israel. So what we should be knowing, the refugee camps, so not the concentration camps, refugee camps, Tulkarm and Jenin, which are in the West Bank. So that means the locations we should be knowing are the Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula. Now the bordering the Sinai Peninsula to the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, all these. Further, now let's talk about Jordan. Yes, another area which becomes important because it touches the West Bank as well as Israel is a country called Jordan. Now when we talk about Jordan, Jordan is again connected with certain important adjoining areas. Jordan. Now when we talk about Jordan, certain adjoining areas become important. For example, there are various things which are now visible on the board. Just a minute. These are visible on the board. For example, you are seeing Sea of Galilee, very important. The Jordan River, which is passing here as a border between the West Bank, Israel, as well as the Jordan. Now Dead Sea, important location. Okay, again. Now we are talking about Gulf of Aqaba, again important location. So let's see the locations first of all in detail. Yes, one more thing, Golan Heights. Now Golan Heights, Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Gulf of Aqaba, and we should also be knowing the bordering areas and the bordering countries. Now this becomes a little more complex because in this small area there are various locations. Now the UPSC is habit of confusing. So let's see all these one by one. Yes. Now first of all, the important cities of the Jordan are, one is the Irbid is in the north, Amman is the capital, and is Al-Aqaba or the port of Aqaba. So first of all, you should be knowing if the UPSC puts a statement that Jordan is a landlocked country. Jordan is not a landlocked country. It looks like a landlocked country, but it has got a small opening in the Gulf of Aqaba. And that port of Aqaba is there. So it's not a landlocked country. It is having an access to sea, but it's a very small access to sea. Now, further, let's see. Let's see all these terms and their importance one by one. So let's start with Golan Heights. So Golan Heights is is actually the part of Syria, but captured and controlled by Israel. So Golan Heights is a rocky plateau in southwestern Syria. Southwestern Syria. So when we talk about Syria, okay, so this is Israel, this is Golan Heights. So this is controlled by Israel, but it's officially a part of Syria. Now, why is it controlled by Israel? Let's see the reason. Why? It is bounded by Jordan River and a Sea of Galilee on the west. Now, Israel says the Golan Heights from Syria in the 1967 Six-Day War. Why these Golan Heights? Because it's a high plateau. There's a more potential of rainfall. It is a major source of water to the Jordan River, which actually feeds the water requirement of Israel. 1/3 of the Israel water requirements come from Jordan River, and we know this is an area which is semi-arid. Okay, the Israel itself is semi-arid. So when I talk about Israel, it is dependent upon the water of the Jordan River, and the Jordan River has got an origination from the Golan Heights. So Golan Heights officially the part of Syria, but captured by Israel and controlled by Israel. So Israel unilaterally annexed the Golan Heights in 1981. When it rains here, its water goes to Jordan River, which supplies water in dry areas. 1/3 of Israel's water supply comes from this. It is also fertile area. So hence Israel has captured it and is not letting it go. Not letting it go. Officially, internationally, it is recognized as a part of still Syria, Golan Heights. Now, let's talk about the Sea of Galilee. Now, again, let's see the location of Sea of Galilee. So, Golan Heights is there, is basically west of Golan Heights, Sea of Galilee. Now, Sea of Galilee is again a small lake. This is a small lake. Now, when there is a small lake, what does this mean for Israel and other adjoining countries? Now, Sea of Galilee is again an official part of Israel, and this lake is fed partly by underground springs, but its main source is Jordan River. Now, important thing to note here is it's the lowest freshwater lake on earth. So, Sea of Galilee is the lowest freshwater lake on earth. And overall, it is the second lowest lake in the world after Dead Sea, which is a salty sea. So, the difference, so Sea of Galilee is a freshwater lake. So, when the statement comes, okay, that the Sea of Galilee is the lowest lake in the world, the statement would be wrong. It's the lowest freshwater lake in the world. It is the second lowest lake in the world after Dead Sea, which is a salty sea. So the lowest lake in the world is Dead Sea. Now further. Bhumika is asking, so people working in different states or in their hometowns will also be covered in this. I'm talking about the service voters. Yes, service voters, the people who are in the service of the government or the state governments. Okay. So, for example, when we talk about a police, so police is controlled by the state. Okay. Basically, service personals, or maybe the people who are in what railway service, who are the part of the essential services which cannot be stopped. Or for that is applied for those only. Okay. Now, further. Now, Jordan River. Yes, let's see the Jordan River. It is acting as a border. So, Jordan River is flowing like this. Let me show in different color. So, Jordan River is actually flowing like this. Yes, flowing like this. Yes, from north to south and entering into the Dead Sea. It's coming from the Golan Heights. It is forming a border. It is forming a border. Finally, terminating in what? Dead Sea. It is forming a border between West Bank and Jordan. It is forming a border between what? Israel and Jordan. So it's basically helping what? Carving out the borders, Jordan River. So let's see the Jordan River. It flows roughly north to south through the Sea of Galilee and onto the Dead Sea. Jordan and Golan Heights border the river to the east. So that means to the east of the river, again, let's see the map if you are wanting to see. So Jordan is to the east of this river. So the river is flowing from north to south. So this is east. So Jordan is east. Golan Heights is also east. So both of them are east. Now when we talk about West Bank is west. So that's why the name of this area is West Bank. It is lying on the west of the bank of the Jordan River. Very clear? So the West Bank, the name emerging from the lying on the west of the Jordan River. So here, let's talk about the Jordan River. Again, Jordan, Golan Heights border river to the east, while Israel and occupied West Bank to its west. Now, both Jordan and West Bank derive their names in relation to the river. So the name of the Jordan is through the Jordan River, and the West Bank, it is lying to the west of the Jordan River, hence it is known as West Bank. So names. So this is also important thing to note. So Jordan and West Bank. Now comes Gulf of Aqaba. Let's again see the location of Gulf of Aqaba. So Gulf of Aqaba is where? Let's see. This is Gulf of Aqaba. So Gulf of Aqaba is actually the part of Red Sea, and it is protruding towards, okay. So Sinai Peninsula is to the west of Gulf of Aqaba. Israel is to the north of Gulf of Aqaba. Again, Jordan is also northwest to the Gulf of Aqaba, and Saudi Arabia. So it is ultimately surrounded by 4 countries, Gulf of Aqaba. So 4 bordering countries are Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. Now let's see again. So Gulf of Aqaba, also known as Gulf of Eilat. Yes. So Gulf of Eilat. So let's see. The Eilat is a port. Eilat is a port in Israel. Eilat is a port in Israel. And Aqaba is a port. Aqaba is a port in Jordan. Aqaba is a port in Jordan. So Aqaba is a port in Jordan, and Eilat is a port in what? Israel. So it is used alternatively, Gulf of Aqaba or Gulf of Eilat. It is a large gulf at the northern tip of the Red Sea, east of the peninsula and west of the Arabian Peninsula. Its coastline is divided into 4 countries we have just seen. So one is Egypt, one is Israel, one is Jordan, and one is Saudi Arabia. Now, and very interesting, important thing, we read about coral reefs. Coral reefs require what? Tropical waters. Okay, the warm. Now, the northernmost extent of coral reefs is there in the Gulf of Eilat. So, the northernmost coral reef in the world is situated near the Eilat shore or the Gulf of Aqaba. Very clear? So, let's see the locations that we have done today are mostly linked with what? Middle East. You're supposed to revise them. Gaza Strip. Okay. And certain history about Gaza Strips, emergence of 2 organizations from the Palestine Liberation Authority, or that is Hamas controlling the Gaza and Fatah controlling the West Bank. Now the war is going between Gaza and Israel, that is Hamas controlled Gaza. Now there's a huge war, humanitarian crisis, migration which is happening. So the people are rushing from Gaza via Rafah crossing to Egypt. Now three crossings, 2 crossings are controlled by Israel, 1 crossing is controlled by Egypt. Rafah is controlled by Egypt. Now comes to the picture, Erez and Kerem are controlled by Israel. Now Erez is for the movement of the people and Kerem is for the movement of the goods. Further, when I talk about Sinai Peninsula is a triangular in shape and it is basically Red Sea, which is moving in 2 directions towards Gulf of Aqaba and moving towards the Mediterranean Sea. Now it is bordered as part of the Red Sea. Now comes to the picture, yes, 2 camps. That is refugee camps. One is Jenin refugee camp, West Bank, and second is Tulkaram, yes, camp in again the West Bank. Now map of Jordan again becomes important because it's linked with what various important adjoining areas. So we found Golan Heights, Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea, Gulf of Aqaba, important locations. Now when we talk about these, okay, so Golan Heights officially the part of Syria but captured by Israel. Why Israel is not letting it go? Because 1/3 of water supply is coming through Golan Heights via Jordan River. Now, Sea of Galilee is the lowest freshwater lake, but it's the 2nd lowest lake in the world after Dead Sea. Further, Jordan River. Yes, Jordan River flows north to south and acts as a border. Jordan and West Bank, again, is for Israel also, it is acting as a border. And Jordan and West Bank are deriving their names from Jordan River. Now, Gulf of Aqaba, also known as Gulf of Eilat. Eilat is a port in Israel and Aqaba is a port in Jordan. And it is bordered by 4 countries. Yes, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. And the northernmost extent of the coral reef is there in the Eilat shore or the Gulf of Aqaba. I hope enough information for today for your revision. Okay, so this is the way we are going to carry forward the classes, in which we were discussing about various important issues linked with current affairs, from where the current affairs questions can be induced. So current affairs does not mean only current affairs. Current affairs means the things which can be induced from current affairs. Now, Akash, yes, you can ask. You are unmuted already.
Sir, when we were discussing about the voting rights, so under trials, can they vote?
Under trials, yes, under trials who are just accused, not convicts.
But they are in the prison, so are they allowed to vote?
Yes, they are allowed to vote. Yes. So here the term is convict. Just focus on the word convict.
So if they are inside the prison, how can they vote then?
So again, there can be a provision where can be polling booth can be created nearby, yes, where they can be asked to vote or being provided facility to vote. So polling stations can be created. Yes.
And sir, second question is, we discussed about the observers. So police observers are also from the different states where the elections are
Yes,
being.
yes, different states. Yes. When you talk about in a particular state, the officer of the state will not be actually directly involved.
Both the IAS officers and the IPS.
Both, IAS and IPS officers.
And sir, when we were discussing about the delimitation, we said that we have frozen that 2 times.
Yeah.
Sir, but we are demarcating it inside inside the state only. So the value of vote is I think it's decreasing.
Neez, please repeat your query.
Sir, when we were discussing about the delimitation, we discussed that we have frozen it for 2026.
ठीक है.
But we have done it in a 2001 inside the states only. Rather than increasing the seats, we have only done.
See, that was required to be done because we regularly create new districts. So state governments create new districts. Yeah. Now, with respect to the districts, boundary be getting changed. Yes? So there may be requirement adjusting of the constituencies.
Actually, the value has got decreased.
No, the value is not decreasing because what is being taken care is the proportional population.
Okay.
It's supposed to be maintained everywhere, the similar proportional population.
But the northern belt MP would say that I am commanding more people than the southern belt MP.
No, see, when you talk about seat, the number of Lok Sabha seats in more in UP, you know?
Yes.
Because the population is more. Okay, number of Lok Sabha seats are lesser in Tamil Nadu because the population is less. Okay, so the proportion of the constituency, one constituency and the people, that ratio is tried to be maintained throughout the country. Okay, so that is why 1971 is the freezed what the census for which is still being used. Why the new census is not being used? Why? Or for example, if we are going to conduct if there would have been, or still if there would have been a delimitation of the 2011 census, what has happened is, who has reduced the population more? The southern states. That means they may not be getting increase in the number of Lok Sabha seats.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the number of seats will be increasing in northern India, so that will be going against those states which have done good work in reducing the population. So that means you are punishing them for the good work.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Okay, and overall, see, their say in power, their stake in the power will also decline.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the major reason.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I hope you adjusted to the flow of the class. Okay, so let's resume tomorrow. Tomorrow again we are going to continue from where we left. Will be include what after completion of the election thing, maybe in 10 to 15 minutes, we'll move towards certain what police issues. Okay, when we talk about again issues with bails, again the issue with courts, yes, and the jargons linked with them. Okay, and then again we are going to end the class with what more locations. Now see, we have done what 2 hours of class, but this revision of 2 hours of class can be done by you hardly in 1 to 1.5 hours, because everything is very fresh in your mind. So just revise, yes, just revise after dinner, yes, just take your dinner, revise, and then move to the next reading that you want to do or revision. So be regular with the current affairs classes, be regular with the current affairs revision also. And you will be getting enough confidence. Target is 35 to 40 questions. And we know in this race of getting your name cleared for the mains examination, every extra correct answer will be helping you. So in this regard, so remain connected. Thank you. Any other query to be shared by rest of the viewers? Are you adjusted with the flow of the class? I hope you like.
So I had a question.
Yes, please. Who is speaking? Sai?
Sir,
Yes.
Sir Sai. Sir, do we have to still go through the magazines? I mean,
Oh, see, magazines, no. So there's no requirement because I know most of you have never gone through the magazines. That's why this class has been arranged in such a manner that I will be filtering for you from the perspective of UPSC, the most relevant current affairs of last 15 months. So if you have not read the magazine, so do not pressurize yourself. So please stick with the class and the handouts that I'm providing with specifying what to revise. Very clear? Okay.
thank you,
sir. So on this note, let's meet tomorrow the same time, that is 6 p.m. And again, on each and every day, the handout will be shared by 5 p.m. with all of you. So please assemble. So thank you, all of you. Thank you. So let's meet tomorrow. Thank you.